this presentation, I will examine the perceived economic situation by responders based on the rejection of different forms of government for Ghana. I am using the Afrobarometer 2005 to 2006 dataset survey from the survey. My country is Ghana, and this has a total sample size of 1,197 responders. Responders were chosen randomly from voluntary Ghanaian people. I thought Ghana was an interesting case to choose from because it has an authoritarian past under the Nkrumah CPP regime, which acted in many ways to suppress opposition from 1958 to 1960. In my analysis, I will consider reliability analysis as an index, ANOVA, and crosstabs as presentation. I will use reliability analysis in order to measure my dependent variable, considering three different indicators: the availability of goods, job opportunities, and the gap between the rich and poor, inequality, as a measure of economic situation for people. In this case, I will exclude all missing values, and I will code so as to have worse, those that respond worse and much worse, under low, those respond the same economic situation of present as opposed to past as medium, and better or much better as high. The alpha for my reliability analysis is greater than 0.6, and therefore this suggests that my indicators can be combined as an index to measure my dependent variable successfully. My index frequency table for economic situation suggests that this forms a generally normal distribution where the mean, median, and mode are in the center and very, very similar. Three independent variables, which are a general measure of rejection of different forms of authoritarian regime. The first, one-party rule; the second, military rule; and the third, one-man rule. I will use coding very similar to my dependent variable, namely that those who strongly disagree or disapprove, and those who disapprove will be classified as low, those neither approve or disapprove of authoritarian regime as medium, and those that approve or strongly approve as high. I believe that the responders that reject authoritarianism have experienced or are experiencing economic situations that harm them, brought about by authoritarianism perhaps, and therefore they want less authoritarianism. Therefore, generally my hypotheses are as such that when a responder rejects one-party rule or any other form of authoritarian rule, they feel that Ghanaian people's economic situation harms most people, as opposed to benefits. This follows on from a political science consideration that authoritarianism harms people's economic situation, and non-authoritarian governments will try and help out everybody equally. For my first independent variable, it can be seen that the probability for the ANOVA is very low, and this suggests that there is a very little chance that the observed mean difference in ideology are due to sampling error. When looking at the tau B for the crosstab analysis, it is negative, which suggests a negative relationship between both variables. It can be seen that as the dependent variable goes from those who considered better economic situation to worse economic situation, the proportion generally rises, especially for the responders who disapproved as low, and those who highly approved of authoritarianism. For my second independent variable, the statistics are very comparable to the first one. The tau B is even more negative, suggesting a more negative relationship between the independent and dependent variable. However, it can be noted that when looking at those who highly approved of my independent variable, authoritarianism, or in this case military rule, as the dependent variable economic situation goes from worst to best to better, you can see that there is a gradual increase in the proportions. The difference between my third independent variable from the others is that the probability is actually quite larger for the ANOVA, suggesting that there is much more of a chance that the observed mean difference in ideologies are due to sampling error in this case. However, there is similarly a very negative tau b, suggesting that there is a negative relationship between both variables. As can be seen, here is a final presentation of my results of the results that I previously pointed out. It can be seen that my hypotheses are not correct in comparison to the data analysis. They disprove my hypotheses. A possible explanation for this may be that perhaps responders who push for even better economic situation see that through the rejection of authoritarian regimes, this has been quite successful, and therefore they want to reject authoritarianism even more. Here is a presentation of my syntax for one-party rule. The other independent variables offer very similar syntax, just changing the variables. As for literature, I use the Afrobarometer 2005 to 2006 survey dataset, and I also found two other literatures interesting and insightful. The Political Economy of Economic Reform in Ghana, Implications for Sustainable Development, and Political Economy of Ghana and Thematic Strategy, Development for START, Ghana, Change in Economic Situation, that represents change in economic situation in Ghana under